Hi guys, it's Jen here for Sketch It Out Thursday. This is the inspiration piece up for this week, and I used this to help with my colors. And also you might have noticed that with this sketch that Tanya and I chose, and in the inspiration piece, there's sort of like a center theme. On the inspiration piece it was pumpkins, and on the sketch it was buttons. And so I used both of those things to help guide me when I was doing this layout. I kept fairly close to the sketch in that I have two different pattern papers split right down the middle, and but I went a little bit less traditional with my colors in order to kind of work with that sketch. So I found this really old piece of blue and sort of a gray beige wood grain, and what I'm doing is using black soot distress ink on the edges just to try to distress it up a bit and make it match a bit better with that orange grid paper that I found. The other thing that I'll mention is I didn't buy any Halloween stuff this year. I'm just trying to use up super old stuff from my stash, and so that wood grain paper is just out of my stash, and then this Halloween paper is really old, as is that ribbon. I think my mom bought me that from somewhere, I don't know, and I just for some reason never got around to using it. I think because it wasn't with my Halloween stuff, it was instead with my ribbon, and I don't use ribbon all that often. So I happened to remember to pull it out this time, and I'm going to use that down the middle. I just made a big mess there with my ink, so bear with me, and my head, that's lovely, while I get that black soot up off my table, because otherwise it will be hard to get off later. So sorry about that, I should have edited that part out. I was having a lot of problems with my video this time. The clip for some reason wouldn't come down, and so I ended up having to cut the clip into two pieces, so hopefully it works out okay. And if not, I'll just stop the narration and fix it. But splitting it into two seemed to work. So let's go back to the layout here. I'm just I was going to try to leave the white on, and it was too white for the sort of grunginess of the rest of the layout. But I have 4 photos here. They're not quite the same size as what was in the sketch. I just used what worked better for the photos, and I'm using that black soot along the edges as well. The other thing I did for these photos, they were all taken at different times during the night. Some of them were taken during daylight, some were taken once the sun had gone down, some were in well-lit areas, some were not. So what I did to make them all work together is I just used the same 2 filters in Pick Tap Go on my phone. So when I did them the first time, I saved it as a recipe, and then on the other 3 photos I used the exact same filters, and it made them come out like looking quite similar. So just a little tip there to help if your photos maybe don't look quite the same. So here I'm just playing around with the photos. I was looking at the sketch and realized that the weight, because that one photo of my 2 kids is way taller than what was in the sketch, I had to rearrange how I was going to put these down. So I have those down, and then I'm just going to work with that placement for how I do my embellishments. So all of this stuff is really old. So some of it is not in packaging. I wouldn't even be able to tell you where I got it from. These are sort of like rubber charms, and they're super old, like super old. So, but I'm using them because in the inspiration piece there was the blue, the orange, and then there was also some purples, and then there's purple in that candle right on the top there. So I'm pulling it all together and just making it work. And I think the blue works okay because my son has a blue shirt on, but the back wall with the filter, where you can see all the candy spread out on the table, it looks blue as well just because of the filter. So I think it kind of helps make it work. Otherwise I don't know that it would have worked all that well. Because with that filter, that back wall it's actually beige, so you can tell that I used quite a bit of sort of iPhone filter magic on that photo to make it look the way that it looks. Here I'm pulling out, I'm going to put my title down in the same spot as on the sketch. I have no idea how I amazingly actually still had the right letters left, because this is quite an old set of thickers to still spell out Halloween, but I thought a nice long title like the word Halloween would work out really well. And then I didn't have a 2 or so I just put 15 instead of 2015, and I think that works out just fine. So with putting down what I did, I've kind of got my idea for the three embellishment areas, and then I pulled out these really old stickers, and they're these spiders, so I'm putting those down first, just kind of tucking them in and around. I just thought they were kind of fun, and also, as I said, I'm trying to use stuff up. So the next thing that I'm going to do here, after I just stick down these rubber charms, is I've pulled out my buttons and brads, and so this is really going to be me trying to use up my stuff. So I'm going with the colors, the purple, the black, the orange, and I'm also going to pull in some white as well. And I'm going to just pull out a whole bunch, but at the same time I'm trying to put similar things in each one of the clusters. You know, a purple button in each, and I didn't put a purple button over by that left hand side because that jack-o'-lantern is very purple already. Here I'm pulling out black brads. I thought I had a bazillion buttons, but I had a lot more brads than I did buttons, so I'm trying to pull out different sizes and patterns. And if anybody is wondering what it is I have here, that's a close to my heart small organization tote, and then there's like a foam insert in it, and these are the little craft boxes that you can buy. And what I did is, when I bought this, I very horribly and terribly long sorted through all of these things and put them in by color. So it makes it really easy to find what I'm looking for this way. So I have buttons and brads together, and then for some of the colors, there's colors mixed together. So the pink and the purple are mixed together, but most of the other colors are all separated out. So it works out pretty good that way. And here I've just gone into my white stash to I just felt like it needed a little bit of that, and they're not really white, they're sort of like a see-through white, although I do put some glittery white brads on as well, and just for contrast. And in the sketch they've only done the buttons just down the middle, but I just felt like that one spot where that purple jack-o'-lantern was, I really wanted to use it, and I don't know, I just felt a little bit awkward, so I felt better having a little bit of embellishment over there, as otherwise that side of the page seemed really I don't know, boring. Basically, I just felt like I needed to put some embellishment there as well. So I am going to go through and start sticking all of this down, and there's not a whole ton of rhyme or reason. Hopefully this isn't too painful to watch because I have sped it up, and I was going to cut a bunch of this out, but then the video wasn't really that long to start with, so I can kind of explain a little bit of my thought pattern as I was going here. Other than I really just wanted to use a bunch of stuff out, so I pulled out a lot. I'm just trying to sort of go by the color, so not putting light colors beside each other. I'm trying to vary the sizes, and I'm also clustering a bit in 3s or 5s, just to attempt to be random. If you've ever watched my videos before, you know I really suck at random. So that's how I attempt to do random, is by clustering things in odd numbered groups, and you know, it's worked fairly successfully for me, so I just keep doing it. Yeah, and using brads, I have not used brads in ages and ages, because now a lot of the companies too don't even make the brads, they make them sort of look like brads, but they're just backed with adhesive, which is awesome. And I will tell you, after putting this many brads in, my fingers were sore afterwards, because that was a lot of brads, and I should have been using the paper puncher on the back to open them up, and I was using my fingers every time. So yeah, I guess I don't have any brad calluses. Is that a thing? But you know, back when brads were really popular, I used them all the time, and it wasn't, I didn't notice, although I also never probably put quite this many on one layout at a time. But I like how it turned out. I think it looks pretty cool, and I'm pretty pleased that I used so much stuff out of my stash that was so old, and also stuff that I haven't used in such a long time, like brads and buttons. I also have those Queen & Company, what are they called? My goodness, I'm totally blanking. Like jewels sitting there on the top left, and I'm going to use those as well. Just to add a little bit more, and I think it needed it. Yeah, I don't know, I just think this was a fun layout. This is really a bit of a departure for me from what I typically do. So yeah, I thought it was really fun. It was kind of a different sketch than what I would have typically picked. I tend to sort of cluster in the middle or around a photo and do layers, and so this was fun. I like to challenge myself and do things that are a little bit different, and yeah, it was fun. So you can see there on the back of that wood grain is sort of like a boyish paper. It's an old paper. I think it's Authentique or something, whatever that company is called. They're a bit more I don't know, kind of grungy than what my style is. I tend to be more of a sort of a clean style, and I sometimes distress the edges but not much else, so they're not a company that I buy very often. So here I am getting close to being done. You can see I've got all that stuff stuck down, and it looks pretty good, but I'm going to do my journaling here, so quite handy that there's this ledger paper in the background. And all I'm saying for that is for this year, my boys are getting older, and I asked them to come up with their own Halloween costumes, because we've bought Halloween costumes for many, many years, and it can be really expensive because they're getting into the point where they almost need adult costumes, but they don't go out for long enough, really, for it to be worth us spending like sometimes upwards of almost $150 to get costumes. We just weren't willing to do that this year. So they came up with their own costumes, and I was really proud of them for being creative. And yeah, and then I just tried to take some pictures of some decorations in a slightly different way than I've taken in the past. So these are just some of our indoor decorations, and there'll be a layout coming on my channel later on about our pumpkins. Yeah, you'll have to wait to see that one. Yeah. Anyways, I feel like it was a Halloween fail this year, but that's my own problem. Yeah, so I'm just putting these final jewels on. They are black and purple and kind of like a orangey goldy color. So I'm just sprinkling those around and futzing with them just a little bit for placement. Just trying to, again, keep that randomness, but also a bit of flow across the layout. And then the last thing I do is I just felt like that left side wasn't quite grungy enough, you know, like clean enough, considering how distressed that ledger paper is on the right side. So this is just some Heidi Swap black color shine that I've sprinkled around and splotted around. And that is it. So here are some close-ups of my layout. I hope you enjoyed. I am up with Tanya, my wonderful partner, so please check out her video as well. Thanks for stopping by the Crafty Maven, guys, and I'll see you again next month. Bye!